Hello and welcome to the Fans Huddle podcast, the most highly anticipated debate this week. I'm Mark. I'm here with Derek and Chris. Fellas, how we doing?
What's
Good,
up?
Good. How's it going?
How's the week? Plenty of football on, college in week 2 and NFL kicked off. Did we leave the house at all?
I didn't. I stayed on the couch pretty much.
I left the house, but I was still watching football, so not socializing.
That's right.
We're there for business. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to keep this up for a whole season, but it was another great weekend.
I didn't like the outcome.
Games.
I didn't like the outcome of Friday Night Football, but I sure love having some Friday Night Football. I'll tell you that. That was good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
wild. Friday night was wild for sure.
Yeah.
Can you imagine though if that was a weekly thing? So we'd have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
I'm sure it might be coming. We'll see.
Oh boy.
Might end up in a divorce, guys, if that happens.
Yeah, I don't know how the wives will deal with that. But we got a lot to chat about today. College football, some big upsets and some close calls. NFL kicked off. A lot of talking points there. So I'll kick it off with you, Derek. What game do you want to talk about first from the CFB?
Let's talk about Texas and Michigan.
Mm.
I think that was a big game that everyone was looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it was kind of let down a little bit on that one, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Michigan, again, I was expecting kind of a fight. Texas kind of just rolled over them with their high-power offense, which I knew they were going to put up some points. Everybody's been talking about Michigan's defense has a championship caliber defense, and I think their defense is pretty good. But the problem is if they have to stay on the field for 3/4 of the game, they're going to tire out. The offense could not get moving on Michigan's side. It was bad. But Texas looks good, and they look like they're going to be a very dominant program this year. Looks like Texas is kind of going back to its good old glory days.
Yeah. It was a weird performance from Michigan. They haven't lost at home since 2020. No crowds then. So it's tough to play there, and they were outplayed on both sides of the ball pretty dominantly. Texas is a great side. Michigan, I got a few Michigan buddies. They're pretty much given up on the season. They said they're riding on last year, so not too much optimism coming out of that school.
It's hard to look ahead, but yeah, I mean, you got Georgia at Texas Saturday, October 19th. Looking on ESPN right now, tickets as low as $460 right now. So you get you some deals right now. So we got a long ways to go, but obviously everybody's already looking at that game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's Derek, do you know the last time one played two in the season?
Well, no, I don't. What is it?
I don't know. I thought you might have. If anyone knows, let us know.
I don't know.
Well, before we started, Mark said he wasn't going to put Derek on the spot, and now here we come with the trivia out of nowhere.
Well, number one versus number two,
I don't know.
It's not like it's uncommon in college football. I mean, it probably hasn't been very long. I mean, rankings change so much throughout the year. I mean, it probably happened 2 to 3 years ago, I would guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's going to be a big one, just around the corner. So Derek, Michigan really bad or Texas really good? What do you think is the outcome from that one?
I think Texas is really good. I don't think Michigan. Again, it's hard to say really when you say really bad. I'm thinking of like teams that are going to win 4 to 5 games.
Yeah,
I think Michigan's going to win probably 8 to 9 games. Don't think they'll probably make a play. Not from what I saw. Don't think they'll be a playoff team. But I do think Texas is very good, and I do think they're up there with the Georgia right now of the college football world. And Ohio State's probably up there too. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, Texas and Georgia are in the same conference now. It's making things interesting in the SEC. All right, next game. Do we want to chat Notre Dame right now? We want to get into that?
I just want to give us some credit because on our first episode, we talked about college football and we ripped Notre Dame together. You remember that, Mark? We were talking about how Notre Dame is posers and they don't want to join a real, conference and all that stuff. And look what happened. Nobody would have predicted that, but they're posers. Always have been.
I've got a lot of thoughts about that, but I didn't catch too much of the game. I caught the end of it, but people have been saying one of the biggest upsets in Notre Dame history. It was not good.
You paid a team $1.4 million to come in there and beat you. So I
1.4.
don't know what. Yeah, I think that's
1.4
1.4.
million.
Yeah. So
I have that actually written down. That is a fact. I do know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Wow.
So if that's not telling, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
I was reading, like, just going over some stats here. They were, I mean, it wasn't like a fluke. Like, Northern Illinois straight up just went in there,
Yeah.
beat them, outgained them in yardage. There was, I think, 2 turnovers on Notre Dame's side. That's just, I was just kind of mind blown at that game, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, especially after last week. They went to Texas A&M. We don't know how they are as a team yet, but I thought it was a pretty strong performance. They hung in there away from home and got the win late, and everyone was riding high on them and absolute crumble. My biggest issue for them now is before this loss, the highest they could finish in rankings was 6, right? They can't finish in the top 5 because they're an independent school. So with this loss, I don't know, like, even if they win out, so I had this hypothetical. I want your guys' thoughts on this. Let's say Georgia loses to Texas and loses to Alabama, both away from home, but they're close games. So Georgia don't make the SEC championship. They win every other game, and Notre Dame wins out. Who would you rather have in the 12? Would you have Notre Dame or would you have Georgia, who lost 2 games to, we'll say, highly ranked teams in the SEC, versus Notre Dame, who went out but lost to Northern Illinois?
You're going to take Georgia. I mean, a loss to Alabama and Texas over a loss to Northern Illinois that came into your own stadium, beat you.
So-
I'm taking a Georgia team, and history tells you a different story too. Like, Notre Dame is known for blowing big, like, games. Period. They are a brand that people are stuck on, and they are any big games. Look, 2005 they played Alabama national championship, lost. Played Ohio State in the college football playoffs a few years ago, lost. Clemson in the playoffs, lost. They get, like, so many people are so high on Notre Dame. I don't get it. They're a brand. Their glory days were like 50 years ago.
Yeah. Well, they finished out the year at USC, and USC has looked impressive so far this year. So they don't really. I mean, Notre Dame never has a tough schedule, but I mean, that'll probably be a telling game closer to the end of the year to see whether they even deserve to be in the conversation. I would say not.
That's the point. Like, you look at the top 25 now, you've got, and I'm talking about SEC only teams. You got Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, Missouri. 4 of the top 6 teams are SEC. Only 1 team from the SEC can finish in the top 5. So Notre Dame they're going to go against these tough teams in terms of the rankings. I think their season's on life support. They've got to win really, really well.
Are you going to be that person in the room, like talking up Notre Dame in that room when they're picking the 12 teams? Are you going to be that one person to be like, Notre Dame, man, they deserve a spot? I think you'd be embarrassed to try to make that argument right now after what we saw.
And to Mark's point, what he just stated, I mean, there's a very good chance that we'll see 5, or at least 4, probably 5 to 6 SEC teams in the college football playoffs this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Derek, what's the next game that caught your eye over the weekend?
Just a couple. I mean, I'm not going to spend too much on this, but it was surprising to see Oregon win a close game again against Boise State. I mean, that's 2 weeks now that I was like, I don't know. I was thinking, Oregon, come on, like, they're going to show something on this week, and then they're going to blow both. And Boise State's kind of a well-known program, over the last like 10 or 15 years, they've, they've been a pretty decent program, and I thought they would just come out and just kind of wax them, but no, close game.
I think Oregon got lucky. They got lucky because they had that kickoff. Was it kickoff or punt return for a touchdown? That's what got them back in it.
Yeah, I think it was a punt return.
And yeah, they didn't look good again, which is disappointing because I was really looking forward to Oregon and Ohio State in a few weeks, and it might turn out like another Texas, Michigan, all hype and all over.
I'm really interested in seeing LSU and South Carolina. LSU, obviously, their season has not started out the way they wanted it to. South Carolina looked really good on Saturday against, obviously, not a superior team, but Kentucky, after they kind of struggled out of the gate. So I think they'll tell us a little bit more about each of these teams. So there's not a whole lot of big games on the slate, but as far as like SEC goes, I'm definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, and Colorado losing to Nebraska, that was I kind of
Yeah.
enjoyed that. A lot of talk from Colorado.
Yeah, that
Time. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry. I love it when people talk and they just get waxed.
yeah, the hype train was there for a while last year, but this year it started out pretty quick. And now, this is what happens when you talk and you get yourself in the news. When you don't perform, people come after you. And now there's talks about Deion Sanders. Does he want to be there when his son graduates? Does he still want to be around? Like, is he just there to get his kid into the NFL and he's out of there? It's a lot of stories coming out there. But last year it was all happy-go-lucky for the first 6-7 weeks. They beat Nebraska, which was big for them, but yeah, they were dominated this week. And another game I was looking forward to that didn't really turn out the way I wanted it.
Yeah. But Chris, yes, LSU, South Carolina is going to be a pretty good matchup, I think, for sure. South Carolina pretty, easily beat Kentucky this past week. And then Missouri, number 6, I believe, right now, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask about Missouri, like kind of
Yeah.
under the radar. I didn't hear much about them preseason.
Yeah, so they're kind of the same way last year. Nobody was really talking about them, and then they last year put together like a 10-win season,
Mhm.
and they have a really good quarterback. Yeah, I think they're a pretty good program, and they play Boston College, who by the way is your boy, right? What's Bill O'Brien, right?
Billy O'Stooge.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe he comes through and beats a top. And I think Boston College is ranked this week.
Yeah, they're
at
25, 24.
Yeah, 24. Yeah.
24.
Okay.
Look
Well,
at him go.
look at him go. But yeah, not too many, like Chris said, not too many big games. But I still look forward to watching some. And like I said, there's always going to be an upset. But I was surprised at so many games that were very close this past week. There was a lot of ranked teams that could have lost. They were all within
Yeah.
a touchdown. There was probably 5 or 6 games that could have went the other way.
Yeah, Penn State were down pretty early.
Bowling Green. It was wild. It was wild.
Yeah. Any other games for this week to look forward to? Alabama, Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin's not ranked, but they're always a strong program, so you never know.
Arizona, Kansas State on Friday night. They're both ranked 20th and 14th. So
Cool.
Yeah, that might be a pretty good game. If you're just like, not really invested, but you want to watch a good game, that's probably a good one.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Any more college topics, or do we want to get into the NFL?
Let's go. The NFL, Big Boy League.
Big Boy League. Chris, I'll defer to you. Where do you want to start? Do you want to go in order? You want to start with opening game?
You want to start? Well, I'll give it up to you. I either want to start at the beginning or the end. You tell me where you want to start. You're in charge here. You tell me what you want to do. I got thoughts on everything. If you let me just go free, I'll talk, and we'll be on here for hours. And we know you're about keeping schedule, Mark. So I don't want to get you off schedule. So you lead the charge here.
It's tough to be producer, host, editor. It's a tough gig.
I know, so. Many hats. You wear many hats.
I do. No, we'll start. There's a lot of headlines as well that I think that when we go to each game. There's
so many headlines. We could talk for hours and hours about.
Right. We'll incorporate those in the games, but I do want to talk about the first game, Chiefs-Ravens opening game. I thought it was a high-quality game. I thought both teams played really well. Chris, what do you think of that game?
I mean, I think I think for the Ravens, nobody was expecting them to win, but I think they expected themselves to win, and to lose in that fashion with the little toe on the line at the end when they were going to go for 2. I wish they would have scored a touchdown. Just see them go for 2. That would have made it so much more exciting. Just for me as a kind of a non-committed fan of either team. I'm not a fan of either team. But I thought the Ravens showed a little moxie in coming back, because in the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, that game looked like it was over. They were down by 2 scores. All the momentum was with Kansas City, and they showed a little bit there at the end. But they came up short again, and I just think now there's such a mental aspect of it with the Ravens being able to beat the Chiefs in any capacity. I just don't know until I see it if the Ravens are going to be able to compete with the Chiefs if they meet again in the playoffs. So that is kind of the same story, different day is what I took from that game overall.
Yeah. Derek, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just a very exciting game. Obviously the ending was really exciting, toe out, At first I thought that was a touchdown. I thought wow, they're about to go for 2 and try to win this thing, but it was a great opening game.
I just don't know I don't know what the league is doing. Like I said, the Bills, they traded that pick to the Chiefs. The Chiefs get Xavier Worthy. He looked amazing. He looks like the fastest guy in the NFL. He scored 2 touchdowns, and it's just the rich gets richer. It's like, why are you helping a team that's about to be a dynasty when their biggest weakness was wide receiver by giving them that speedy, quick wide receiver that they were lacking? It just makes no sense to me that these other teams are just I just don't get it at all. I really don't.
That was my biggest takeaway from the game, that the Chiefs look better on offense this year, much better than they did last year. Last year they struggled. The receivers were, frankly terrible, and they still won the Super Bowl. Now you've got Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice is coming into his own. They look scary. They look like...
I'm known as a Lamar hater. I'm not a Lamar hater. He's the greatest quarterback that can run in the history of the NFL. But those 2 passes he threw before that pass that he hit likely in the end zone, they were just, you can't do that. If you want to be considered a top 3-5 quarterback, 2-time MVP, especially that second throw, that guy, was it Flowers? Was it Zay Flowers? Wide open. Nobody within 10 yards of him. And he just totally just mucked it. So that's just not acceptable if you want to be considered one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, no, so there was a lot of criticism on Lamar in the AFC Championship for not running the ball enough, not playing to his strengths. He ran the ball 16 times on Thursday night.
Yeah. He ran it. Yeah, he ran it great.
Michael Vick has never run 16 times. Josh Allen, I think, is once or twice. Cam Newton 1 time. So all these running quarterbacks, 16 times is a lot. He can't keep it up, right?
Yeah.
He does have short
hits.
Yeah. He's got shortfalls in his passing game, and he's trying to offset it with a running game.
Yeah.
He can't do it. 16 times is, and the thing was, he wasn't going down. He was
taking all those hits.
He was taking the contact. He was out there with a point to prove, and I think he played well, but I don't think it's sustainable. But
so asking you two, do y'all think he overcomplicates things quite often? Throughout, do you think he just doesn't make the simple decisions sometimes, or?
I think that even though he might tell you different, I don't think he obviously has. I think he has so much more confidence in his legs than his arm at this point. Yeah. And you can see it out there when he's missing those open throws. So I think when he goes back in the pocket, the minute he feels any pressure, and Chris Jones he's a beast. That guy's a monster. He was in the backfield, all night long. But as soon as he feels that pressure, his instinct is just run. And he knows he's so dynamic. His next instinct is to I can make this guy miss, and he ends up taking unnecessary hits. But that's the reason why you got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is the big running back to take those hits for Lamar Jackson. Right. So it's their first game. It's the first game with Derrick Henry. They did a little play action with him. They did a little, some little plays that look really good, but Derrick Henry didn't have a good game. But I'm excited to see if it can turn into something. But Derrick Henry is a volume runner. He needs 15, 20, 25 carries to get it going, to bruise those defensive linemen and linebackers. And he always hits the big shots in the third and fourth quarter. And if you don't feed him enough in the early game, then those defensive players are not going to be worn down enough for him to break that one out. So they need to change their game plan a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. But plenty of positives to take away for the Ravens. All right. Friday night, Chris, I know you've got a lot of thoughts about this. I'll hand it over to you. It's all yours.
I'm going to start with the NFL. What are you doing? I'm going to look at the camera. I'm looking at the camera. What are you doing? Okay. I know you want to be this global league. I know you want to like dominate the world of sports and all this crap. Can we get a field that the players can actually play on? It was an embarrassment.
Was it a NFL field or was it an ice rink?
Yeah. Whatever you want to call it. It was such a great product, 2 great teams, a lot of great players, and they're slipping and sliding like we're in an 8-year-old's birthday party in the backyard. It was an embarrassment to the NFL. If you can't travel across to different countries and have a field that's an NFL quality field, don't do it. So we've known this game is going to be in Brazil, at least a year ago, if not longer than that. And you couldn't get the field ready for these teams to play. It wasn't Jordan Love. He didn't get hurt because of the field, but it was dangerous to the players, and it affected the outcome of the game because all the receivers, all the running backs, Jordan Love was slipping on every single play. Absolutely ridiculous abomination. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Ridiculous.
I understand London. I understand Germany. I don't understand Brazil. I mean, I looked at the time zones. They're pretty much on the same time zone as the East Coast, so like that's an advantage. But you're never going to have a team there. You're never going to
Yeah.
grow the game above soccer. Let's be real. It's the soccer capital of the world. You're not going to grow it bigger than what it is. It didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah. And then NFL, the refs that y'all are bringing there. Can we not call a flag on every single play for a ticky-tack hold or like all this garbage? It delays the game. It makes it boring. You have this amazing product. It's the best product. It can sell itself, and you're doing everything you can to screw it up. Okay? Stop throwing so many flags and get some grass that our NFL players can run on. So that was my thoughts about that.
Derek, did you catch the game? I know you were trying to get a Peacock login.
Yeah, I'm sorry guys, I'm not rich enough to have a Peacock app. I should have gotten that. But I did watch some highlights, and what I saw was like, wow, yeah, like Chris said, it was wild. Surprised, like, talk about people getting hurt. I'm surprised there wasn't more injuries than what there was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was on both sides. I mean, offense and deep, guys just slipping everywhere, falling down. And the problem is it probably could have been not that it wasn't a good game, because I thought overall it was a pretty good game, but it's not like a true outcome. I feel like if they would have played that somewhere else, it's been a different game.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know
Neither
what I'm
team was
saying?
over.
There was like some
neither-
big plays where people just like fell, like literally guys just like fell, like couldn't even come close to making a tackle.
Yeah. Neither team was overly impressive, which if you look at the NFL as a whole week one, most teams are not ready to play because they don't play or practice in the preseason anymore. So the field it's a hard barometer to tell anything about either of those teams, but we have a hurt quarterback now. So now we have to wait and see if, we can even
I hear
stay
Jalen
afloat.
Carter was getting death threats apparently.
Yeah. And my thoughts, it was not Jalen Carter's fault at all. He was making a football play on it. I do not blame him at all for that. Jordan Love bears some responsibility. You cannot hold on to the ball that long and expect these players to not go at you. It was not an illegal move. If you dive at the quarterback under the knee, it's a penalty, but being on the ground already and trying to grab it was not a penalty. So I didn't think it was a dirty play. I think it was a lot of just probably Jalen Carter, Georgia hate from previous incidents that have now transpired into blaming him for potentially ruining our season. But thankfully, Jordan Love, it's only a sprained MCL, 1-2 sprain. So he's supposed to be back in 3 weeks or less. LaFleur is actually not even ruling him out for this Sunday, but he's not going to play this Sunday. So
I was gonna ask about that. Like, what's the strategy behind this? I mean, obviously you want the team to prepare for two quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's trying to keep the other team on their toes. I mean, nobody can do it like Shanahan with McCaffrey, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But I think it's just a little chess that they're trying to play. But you cannot. He could hardly even get down the stairs off the airplane when they landed. He is not playing on Sunday. I will guarantee it. They are not going to risk him and the future of this team. Not against the Titans. So also, the Colts. I'm sorry, the Colts.
You couldn't pull up to a jet bridge and wheelchair him off. You had to make him walk down the stairs. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I don't know the logistics of the plane flights or anything like that. It's probably the NFL. The NFL are probably responsible for that too, if I had to guess, because they suck at everything.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I thought Saquon looked really good. Strong. Obviously we know how strong he is. His leg drive is unreal, but I thought he had a great debut. And
it felt like the Giants played worse because the Saquon was on the Eagles and they all watched that game on Friday night, and the players were just so sad and depressed that their best player is gone that they didn't even want to come out to play on. But Sunday,
even with Saquon, they still had him. Like, were they really gonna still were they gonna win?
But just the fact of losing him to your biggest rival, and then him just going off on his first game, that's just enough to the entire
owner and
the Giants organization. Oh my God!
Who would you right now? Who would you rather be a fan of? Giants, Panthers? Go.
The Panthers.
Giants.
Nah. Bryce Young's still on a rookie contract. You can get off of him if you want to. Danny Dimes making big money.
I really love underdogs, and Panthers, and the Panthers they're still I can almost say they're still young, they kind of like a young team.
Yeah.
Where the Giants have veterans all over the place, and they still just they just suck.
I've got a tweet for you for Panthers fans.
Horrible.
So I feel really sorry for Daniel Jones. I was living in New York when they drafted him, and I went to a Yankees game like a week after the draft, and he was there, and the camera cuts to him, and the crowd just boos the shit out of him.
Well,
And I'm
Yeah.
like, this poor guy hasn't even played a game yet, and you guys are booing the shit out of him. And I wanted him to do well, but he got the contract which he did not deserve. It cost them Saquon. And then there's a video of him leaving the stadium on Sunday and just absolutely copying it from the fans. I mean, it's tough to be a player in New York, but it's tough to be a quarterback. And if you play as terrible as he's been over
And
the
I
last,
actually
tell me
think
this.
Brian. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
I was gonna say, how many years has he been in the league now? What is this, his 5th, 6th year?
yeah, I think it was either 2017 or 2018
Yeah, I
he
think
was
it's
drafted.
5 or 6. Yeah.
Like, I understand. Like, yeah, I understand everything you're saying, but you're in 5 or 6, and like, this is big boy league. Like, time to step up. And like,
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah, I just his
And
performance was just.
I actually think Brian Dable's a good coach. I think he's a really good offensive coach. He was great in Buffalo. He's great when he got there. I just think that general manager and that organization and who are drafting and signing players, I just think they're just dysfunctional, and it's just terrible right now. So I don't know. I actually feel bad for Giants fans right now. We'll see.
I don't.
What about you,
But-
Mark? Who you going with? Panthers, Giants?
Ooh.
You tell us.
I think
You're
I'll
the
go and
host.
watch. I'll go and watch. I'll go and watch. I don't know, lacrosse or something like that. I'll just change sports altogether.
Game
Yeah.
ticket.
I saw a tweet from a Panthers fan saying that he envied his grandfather, who's dead. He envies him because he's not having to witness the shit that the Panthers are going through right now. So I think they have the worst owner in the NFL. So it's awful. But all right, let's move on to our next game. Sunday slate. First game I want to talk about is the Browns and the Cowboys because there's a lot to talk about here. Not just the game itself, but outside of the game, the quarterbacks. I'm going to start with Dak's contract. It happened just before kickoff, $60 million a year. In my opinion, he was going to get this money somewhere. So I do think it's good business from the Cowboys to keep him, mainly because they don't have a backup option. We've spoken about it the last 2 episodes. The Cowboys were really backed into a corner. They needed to give him money, and that's just what the market's going for right now, $60 million. He played well. Jerry's comment this week was another one that just puts pressure on the team. He said, every time we've made a player the highest paid in the league, we've won the Super Bowl. So he's obviously referring to Troy Aikman almost 30 years ago. What do you think of the performance, Chris? What do you think of the contract? And,
I mean, I'll
any other
start with the
comments?
contract. So Dak got everything exactly what he wanted. He's the highest paid player per year in the history of the NFL. So why does it take until opening day to pay him? I don't get it. Unless you're just trying to get the headlines, keep the headlines, keep everybody talking about the Cowboys because all the teams are playing on that day. I don't understand waiting to the very last minute and then giving that player everything they want anyway. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why wouldn't sign him a year ago, sign him 2 years ago? Maybe you can get him for $50 million a year, $55 million a year. You can save some money, but that's just not how they operate. Overall, I thought the Cowboys played well on Sunday. It's hard to tell if Dallas is that good because Deshaun is that bad. He is done. He is cooked. It is over. He got $230 million guaranteed money. He doesn't have to earn a dollar. He's got his money. I think everybody in Cleveland is done with him, and I just don't know what to say. It's just embarrassing at this point. I don't know I don't even know how to evaluate his performance at this point. I've never seen a quarterback fall so quickly. He is only 28 years old. He's 28. He should be in his prime right now. And he looks like he should not even be one of the 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah. So, Derek, I'll ask you a question. So he's had another sexual assault allegation come out this week, right?
That's a great question to give me, Mark.
So my question is, if you're the Browns, right?
Yeah.
Are you looking at his contract, looking at these allegations and saying, can we get out of this? And are we trying to move on from him? Because he is taking up so much money in the cap. They just restructured him to open up some cap space. But to Chris's point, $230 million, he sucks.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. So if you're the Browns right now, what's going through your mind?
Yeah, exactly what you said. I'm trying to get him out of there, like, and recoup any money that I can get. Like,
Yeah,
he's
and
done.
I'm
And I would sabotage at this point, honestly. Like, sabotage.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
yeah. And two things. I'm not a salary cap. We're not salary cap gurus here. If the Broncos can get off Russell Wilson some kind of way, the Browns can figure out a way. They'll have to eat a bunch of money, but that's worth it at this point. They brought in Jameis Winston, okay, to I guess be the backup, but he's a serviceable quarterback. He can throw the ball down the field. And look at I don't know if we're going to get into Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield is playing the best he has ever played right now. And they gave up on him to bring in Deshaun Watson and give up a king's ransom to get him. So I think they have a good defense. I think they have good players and they have a good offensive line. I just think that team is totally deflated because they know that their quarterback cannot get them over the top. And I think that's what happened. That's what you saw on Sunday. The defense just gave up because they know that their quarterback is not going to give them a chance to win. And for him to have all that money and all those accolades early to be playing like that now, it's just sad. I feel bad for the people.
I question what's in the contract itself, though, between the Browns and Watson. Like, if this were to like Mark said, if this were to go to trial, just say something were to happen, right? Like, and he was to get charged with something or indicted on something, like, does that change anything within the contract? Like, there has to be something in there where, like, they don't have to pay you this money because of this.
Yeah. I know this. I know that the NFL said to him that you can be suspended again if more allegations come out. Like, this suspension is for these ones. If more come out, you're liable again. I don't know what's in the Browns contract. It would be the worst decision of all time. It already is the worst decision, but if they didn't put some type of insurance in that contract, I would be shocked.
The biggest issue, the Browns are ready to win now. Their players are in their prime. Myles Garrett, Amari Cooper. I know Nick Chubb is hurt, but all these guys, they're gonna not be at the level they are in 2 or 3 seasons. So the only way for the Browns to fix this now is they're just gonna have to start completely over. And that's what's sad is this team would be ready to win now if they had a quarterback that could play at a high level. And they are ruining all these players' primes because of their quarterback play. So it's just a sad situation.
Yeah. All right. Pats Bengals. Low scoring game.
Situation.
Burrow. Look, the Bengals started really slow last year, so I'm not gonna shut the door on them yet. But they looked awful. Pats defense really really good. They might overachieve this year. I'm not too sure. Their offense needs work, but what I saw from Joe Burrow is, I don't know. I feel like his wrist is still plaguing him a little bit. He didn't seem as accurate. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I watched this whole game, unfortunately. The Bengals did a lot to beat themselves, a lot of dumb turnovers, a lot of bad decisions. The Patriots defense has always been good. It was good on Sunday. They were generating a lot of pass rush early, and I think that just got in Joe Burrow's head, and he was just dinking and dunking the entire game because he was terrified of getting hurt again. T. Higgins was out. Jamar Chase was coming off he had like food poisoning or something like that, so he didn't look 100%. But yeah, this stunned me. I just that was the biggest upset of the weekend. I think the Bengals were 7.5-point favorites, and they ended up losing at home. Like you said, Mark, the Bengals are used to getting off to bad starts. I think Joe Burrow has a terrible. I think he's 2-8 or something like that, and his first couple weeks every year. So the Bengals are notorious for getting off on bad starts, but there's a bad start and there's a losing at home to was supposed to be one of the worst teams in football. So I don't know. Now they got Kansas City this week coming up. Cincinnati does. So it's not a good look for potential what we were talking about Super Bowl favorite going into the season.
Do you think Joe Mixon leaving is hurting them without having that solid, running back?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat. Yeah, I mean, it should be more of a scheme. I mean, running backs are pretty much one of the more replaceable positions in the NFL, and their running game didn't look bad. It was their passing game that just did not look right. It just looked like every pass was almost an extension of the run. They were all 3 to 5 yard passes again and again. And once the Patriots knew what Cincinnati was doing, they just ate them alive. And then they got in the red zone multiple times and multiple turnovers, and it just wasn't going their way. So just not a good day for Cincinnati.
Yeah. Derek, any other games that caught your eye?
Come on, gotta talk about them dirty birds. Talking about them dirty birds.
Sorry about
Derek.
that. Second.
No, you're good.
Yeah, that was a low scoring game. Yeah, Atlanta Pittsburgh game was not impressed by the Atlanta offense that everybody's been talking about in the offseason. I don't know what offense we need to talk about because there was none. Kirk Cousins, not a good debut. That's about it on that one.
Yeah.
I think everyone's got to calm down on the Falcons, okay? You had Kirk Cousins coming back from an Achilles injury. You had TJ Watt in his face all afternoon, the best defensive player in the league. He can't, he's the Achilles he did was his planning foot. He's a little bit rusty. They're a new team, a new offense, a new coach, whole new system. They've got to get used to it. They looked unprepared, to be fair, and that was one criticism, is that you've had the whole offseason to prepare for TJ Watt, and he was in your face all game. So unprepared, but I'm not willing to write them off yet. They're in a soft division, so I think Dirty Bird fans.
But I mean, the first week, come on, you're trying to make an impression. You're trying to get the fans excited. You're trying. I mean, all this talk, all these talk, bringing these players in, and that's what you get to show for it. I mean, I'm sorry. If any week's important, I mean, the first week is important to come out and show what you're made of. I mean, but yeah, just wasn't impressed with that. I did watch the, I guess another game, just real mention, is the Tennessee and Chicago Bears game was a pretty wild game. It was pretty good, but that was all over the place.
Yeah. Caleb's debut, you guys kind of called it last week. You said that his attitude wasn't great and that he might struggle a little bit, and he struggled big time. Unfortunately for Titans, Will Levis struggled more. But, let's start.
Did he go to halftime and said, I'm coming back in the second half, and I'm just going to show him how bad I can be?
Yeah.
Two different quarterbacks in that game.
Yeah. The intercept, the backhanded flick out the back. It's just, that's that decision making, skill that the best quarterbacks have. They know when to just take the loss, take the sack. Forcing things like that is just criminal.
I don't. Caleb Williams, I think his post-game interview pissed me off more than anything he said. I mean, he was just riding his high horse and acting well, we won the game and all this stuff. Dude, have some humility. You played terrible. You were the worst quarterback in the NFL, pretty much week one, and your special teams and your defense bailed you out. Give some credit.
He did make it seem like it was kind of like not that he did anything special, but kind of this is my team. I kind of got us the victory.
Yeah.
Like you said, defense and special teams saved you for sure.
Yeah, and the punter came out, he texted the punter. He was like, "Hey, we're not going to need you a lot this week, so don't worry, but don't worry about it." And then the punter went up to him in the first quarter. He's like, "Hey, what's up with this, man? I thought you told me I wasn't going to be punting or whatever." So have some humility, thank your teammates, and say that you need to be better for your teammates. So I didn't see any of that. It's the same. Yeah. I'm gonna ride this wagon until I fall off of it. So we'll see what happens in the future. But the Titans lost that game. Bears did not win that game. The Titans lost that game.
For sure.
Yeah, and Nashville, we need I'm not a fan of the Titans, but just living here, the fan base is desperate. I mean, we need some good quality football around here. Titans the last couple of years have not looked great. And I wanted to ask Mark, what is your opinion? Because me and Chris have said what our opinions are on Caleb Williams. What do you think of Caleb Williams?
Yeah, he gives me a lot of Kyler Murray vibes. They're talked up. They're going to be this great quarterback, and it kind of gets to their head a little bit, and their attitude is has fallen off. And to be honest with you, I like the confidence. I like his attitude a little bit, but I don't think the preparation is there yet. So, you can walk around with swag and say things that might irk up a few people, but you got to back it up.
Yeah, and there's more pressure. I mean, he has all those wide receivers that everybody talks about. Nobody who was catching the ball. Like, what do you throw for 95 yards? And you got all these guys. So
yeah.
I think the more players that put more pressure on. Keenan Allen's hurt again, undisclosed injury. He just limped off the field. So I don't know. I just think people need to, just hold their horses on that team and that guy.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I understand the excitement behind the Bears. They haven't really been a talked about team for a while. But I heard someone talk about today, you had Andrew Luck, the guys that came into the league with they're a guaranteed hit type mentality. I think Trevor Lawrence was another one that came in and was expected to be a surefire thing. I don't know if these younger kids, it gets to their head a little bit, and they just don't prepare, or they're not ready for that leap from college to the NFL. And
Peyton Manning, who's one of the most prepared quarterbacks in the history of the NFL, he was terrible his first year. He threw like 30 some interceptions. He was awful.
28.
So yeah, it's just a learning curve that you have to learn, and he is no exception. So whatever.
All right. I'm gonna talk about Seattle and Denver real quick. First, Denver. Chris, you had them making the playoffs, I think, or you had them doing pretty well.
No. I didn't have I said they're gonna be 9-8 and vying for a wild card spot, but I had them missing the playoffs.
Did you catch any of the game? What did you make of their first performance?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was I don't think it was a good start for any of the rookie quarterbacks. I think they all struggled week one. Bo Nix was part of that group. I think we had 2 interceptions in that game. I think starting in the Hawks Nest in Seattle, that's tough for a rookie quarterback. It's one of the loudest stadiums in the NFL. That fan base is wild. So I think that was a tough place for him to start. I think he did okay overall. I think he kind of just stayed in his wheelhouse, and they did a lot of short passing and all that stuff. I'm interested to see him if he can continue to grow or not. But obviously they're playing an older team, a veteran team, a team that has a lot, just probably better players overall. But anyway, it ended up being a close game. They made it kind of a game there for a little while, and then it ended up being a 6-point game. So I don't know. It's kind of 2 9-8-ish, 8 and 9-ish kind of 500 type teams is what I took from it.
Fair enough.
Sorry, I don't want to, well, your guys didn't get off to a great start in that game. Geno didn't get off to a great start. So,
well, our O-line was awful. So first play of the game, he gets sacked, 7-yard loss. Second play of the game, defender in his face, he tries to force a pass, interception. Offensively, a lot of work needs to be done. We came out okay in the second half. Kenneth Walker is a dog. He's going to be a really great player, and I think this is a big breakout year for him. Geno played well in the second half, but I was most excited about our defense. I know Bo Nix is a rookie quarterback, but over the last 5 years, we have just let anyone just throw on us. Chris, do you remember you and I went to Atlanta and Seattle a couple of years ago, and Matt Schwab threw for like 450 yards?
Yeah, I remember that.
There was an article that came out last year from a Seattle reporter talking about career days against the Seattle defense and how Mariota for Atlanta last year or a couple of years ago killed it against us. Like, all these average quarterbacks come out and just have career days against our defense. So this year, Mike McDonald is a defensive guru. He came out, I mean, the Michigan defense was his scheme. He went to the Ravens and had their scheme last year, and they were the best defensive side. You saw straight away his impact on this team. Like, no missed tackles, 3 turnovers. They would throw the ball short, Denver, and there was a guy in his face like right away. So Bo Nix's average yards per attempt was 3.3 yards. So when they caught the ball, there was a guy in your face. So I was really excited about the defense. We'll see with the offense, but I don't know. I feel like we could surprise some people.
I don't know. I'm looking at your schedule right now. It's y'all got a tough schedule this year, eh? Have you seen that? Oh my Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, we're in a tough division.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Got the Dolphins, Lions, 49ers, Bills, Rams twice, 49ers twice. All right. At the Jets.
I'm excited.
Which y'all think
Yeah.
the Jets, the powerful Jets, that should be an L, if you're playing all the old Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
I figured you were going to bring up the Jets at some point.
Do you want to talk about the Jets now then, Chris? Because
I would love to talk about the Jets. Y'all can start. You say whatever you want about the Jets.
Well, Derek, did you catch the game on Monday?
I want to hear. I want to hear the defense of the Jets.
I got to see some of it. I missed the first part of the game.
Yeah.
You guys know that, but wow, it was just a beat down. I thought it'd be closer than that. I was really, I don't know. I think I still have some trust in the Jets though. Like, I know as bad as it was, I know Aaron Rodgers didn't play to his capabilities. There was a lot of, handful of drop balls on the Jets side. 49ers is a great team again. We knew that, right? Like, I still think the Jets can have a good season.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. But yeah, I thought it was a beatdown from the 49ers to the Jets. It was a spanking.
Whoever makes,
because y'all were talking up Jets last week. Y'all were Jets. I want to hear it now.
Whoever makes the NFL schedule is a cruel human being. Because you want to put Aaron Rodgers' first game back away at San Francisco, coming off an Achilles injury. They were not ready for the speed of the 49ers defense, the speed of their offense. Kyle Shanahan is just the greatest of all time when it comes to drawing up plays. How many times did you see receivers, tight ends, like wide open with 3 or 4 yards of separation? Insane. I would be very concerned as a Jets fan for their defense, because that was the thing that carried them last year. Offensively, Aaron looked a little bit old. I'll say that. Didn't have much pocket movement outside of that. We'll see if that gets better as the year goes on. Defense was really struggling. Salah seems to think that it was just an off game. We'll see, but I'm not going to write him off yet. It's a terrible game to start, but when Trent Williams went off, didn't play the whole game, I thought Ayuk had a terrible game. He dropped that touchdown pass. It wasn't that great. And then no CMC.
Yeah,
I thought it should have been a better game. So that's what I'll say. And Chris, I'll give it to you. What do you want to say?
I mean, if there's a time to get the 49ers, no, I don't buy that the Jets got a crappy. If there's a time to beat the 49ers, it was the week 1. Ayuk just got signed. Trent Williams just came back. Christian McCaffrey didn't play, where none of us knew he wasn't going to play. The 49ers, they had a tumultuous offseason. They're vulnerable right now. And the Jets got outplayed. They got out coached. They got out hustled. They just got beat down. And you can say it's because of Aaron Rodgers. You say it's because of defense. You can say it's the entire team. Just because you have good players, and I'll admit the Jets have some good players, doesn't make your team a good team. They have no team chemistry. Their coaching is terrible. Saleh cannot coach. He was a great defensive coordinator. He's a terrible head coach. And we all know what Nathaniel Hackett is. Nathaniel Hackett is terrible. Okay. And Aaron Rodgers is an analog watch trying to play in a digital age. He still plays like he's playing from 10 years ago. It's the same stuff I've seen him do. He centers in on one guy and he'll throw it. He's going to throw it to Garrett Wilson 15 times every single game. And the defense is going to figure out what he's doing. Did y'all see his spray chart of where he threw the ball? He didn't throw it to the right side of the field one time the entire game. You don't think the 49ers saw what he was doing and then started game planning for that? So I never said he can't throw a pretty ball. I didn't say he can't, be accurate at times, but it's his decision making. And he started finger pointing and doing the negative energy and nodding his head after the first fumble and drop pass Lazard had and then Breece Hall had. It's the same guy, just in a different uniform. So I just don't think how anybody sees is going to be any different than what we've seen in the past.
You made some good points, but it is week 1, and it was against a very good opponent in the 49ers. Even though, like you said, it's probably the best timing for them if they were going to beat them was probably week 1. But it's a long season. I still think Jets can turn around, and
yeah.
Am I eating my words some from last week for sure? I mean, I didn't expect for it to be like that. That's
fair. But like you can't pick the Jets to win a division and be a Super Bowl team when you play another Super Bowl team and you just get rocked off the field. If it's a close game and all that stuff. And to Mark's point, the issue was the defense. That's the same defense from last year. It's the same defensive head coach. It's the same defense court. It's all the same people. And they got run off the field by a backup running back. I mean, they were just getting moved and pushed, and it was crazy how obvious it was that the Jets were outmanned on the defensive side of the ball, which is supposed to be their strength. So they got a weak schedule coming up. So I'm sure they'll win a couple. I think they play the Titans next. So they're going to play a couple crappy teams and they'll win. And Aaron Rodgers will be like, see, I told you guys this was, and then they'll play a real team and they're going to get blown off the field again. So
hey, you might be right.
Yeah, that's
like
what I'm saying.
I had them winning the division. I said it. Got to stick with it.
I'll stick with it. I'll stick with it.
You can call me an Aaron Rodgers hater. I'm just a real. I've seen the guy too long to see what he's doing now. So
I think the thing about the Jets is that they were talked up all last year, and then Aaron Rodgers went down. Now he's back. They've been talked up again. So it's been 2 years of talking up, and your first performance is a poor one. If they lose again this week, or if they lose to a lowly ranked team, it's going to start getting real loud in there. And that's what comes with A, playing in New York, and B, having Aaron Rodgers on your team. So I think it's not panic buttons yet, but they don't have the luxury of other teams where they're in the national media a lot. They're going to start pulling out some wins. Let's move to the Bills, their other division rival. Chris, you had them winning this one, the division, right?
Yeah, I had the Bills winning the division.
I was really impressed with Josh Allen. I think this was, I was not going to lie, I was skeptical about his season this year because he doesn't have a wide receiver one. He lost Diggs, but he was the first quarterback, or the only quarterback outside of Steve Young to rush for two touchdowns and pass for 2 touchdowns. He had I think he was third in passer rating and number 1 in quarterback rating for the week. He had a really, really strong game. I think he had a point to prove. I think he's heard a lot of noise over the offseason, but if the Bills plays like that every week, I think they're the team to beat in the division already. What do you think of his performance?
Yeah, he's a stat machine. I mean, he's always going to put up numbers no matter who he has on his team, just because he's such a dual threat. But I thought the way that they started out was a little concerning. It's the first week of the season, so I don't put too much into it. Their defense looked a little shaky, which has been their strength. They lost a lot of guys on defense. I always thought the loss of Stephon Diggs, I think they'll figure that out. I think Keon Coleman is going to be a good wide receiver. I think their tight ends are really good. I think they have a great running game, which is what they're going to rely on. So I don't think the offense will be the problem. I want to see how their defense holds up. They got a big game Thursday night against the Dolphins, and we know what the Dolphins defense can do. So I think we'll get a better barometer this Thursday if their defense is going to be able to hold up over the long haul for the season.
Yeah. Derek, did you catch any of that game or see any stats?
He
just
runs.
Game,
but I knew it was pretty close. I saw that it was a fairly, it was closer than what I thought it was going to be. I didn't think the Cardinals were going to put up that many points against the Bills. But
if Kyler Murray, look, if you read your playbook, Kyle, okay, you have this guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, I don't know if you know who he is or not. Okay, but he's pretty good in college, and I think if you actually throw him the ball, if you actually throw him the ball when he has nobody within 20 yards of him, I think you might end up scoring a few more points. Just a suggestion.
One reception, 4 yards.
Yeah, 1 reception, 4 yards. Here was one play. He had nobody on the side of the field of him, and Kyler didn't see him. So maybe he needs to play a little less Xbox, get into the playbook a little bit more. But we'll see how that goes.
All right, we're into the last 5 minutes of the show, but I want to talk quickly about Dolphins and Jags. I thought the Jags looked better than what they did towards the end of last year. Trevor Lawrence started off well. One of his touchdown passes was beautiful. It was, I don't know if you saw it from the back end. There was 4 defenders there, and he just threw this ball that looked like to nowhere, and then there was a guy running across. It was awesome. But then the Dolphins woke up in the second half, and Tyreek did his little handcuff celebration, which I thought was hilarious. What do we think about both teams? I think the Dolphins, we know how good their offense is. Took a while to get started, but they got the win in the end.
I think when the Jacksonville defense holds the Dolphins to 17 points or whatever it was, you have to win that game because the Dolphins' strength is their offense. So Jacksonville defense actually showed up, and the offense wet the bed. So I just don't know what to say about Jacksonville anymore. They're highly touted every season coming out. Trevor the Prince, and he gets all these accolades and he got the big contract, and he just, if he can't deliver at this point, then I don't know where you go from here. So I thought that fourth down, that going for it on fourth down on your own side of the ball when you were, what were they, up by 3 at that point? I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't get it when your defense is playing that well. So I don't know. Doug Peterson, I guess he's trying to prove that he's a man, and he's 40, he's a man, and he's going to go for it. So I just think Jacksonville will be better served running the ball and playing defense. And I just don't know if Trevor's the guy who's going to throw you enough to win the game. I haven't seen it. So until I do, I jumped off the train. I'm not a Jacksonville guy.
I'm agree with you too. Like I didn't think Jacksonville, well, I mean, they still may, but I don't have them winning the division. Like I said, I think the Texans are taking that division. And I think Jacksonville, a lot of hype for Jacksonville the last couple of years, especially with Trevor Lawrence. And I don't know if it's going to live up to that or not.
Yeah, so you mentioned Texans. They looked really good. I know that was only a 2-point victory, but like CJ Stroud, 75% completions, 2 touchdowns, 7.3.
Against the division leader, Chris had him winning the division, right?
That's right. I'm not jumping off that train yet. I thought my Colts looked good. I like me some Anthony Richardson, second highest QBR in the NFL week 1. Okay.
Sorry, wait. You like 9 from 19? You like that?
Absolutely. If 9 goes for 220 yards, he threw more. He threw for more yards than your boy Aaron Rodgers with 9 completions. So I'll take that all day long.
Look, he had some nice throws. He had some nice throws. Let me tell you right now, like that's not going to work anywhere in the NFL. Okay, 9 from 19, 275 yards.
It almost worked against the Super Bowl favorite.
I sorry I interrupted you. What were the stats though on the Texans, their offense?
I was just going through CJ Stroud. I mean, like, he had a great year last year. One thing that I was concerned about was they overachieved, and maybe he'll come back down to earth this year. But his stats this week were awesome: 75% completions, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. 116 passer rating.
I don't know about that. I don't know. Those stats
I'm telling
deceiving.
you, I believe in. I love everything about CJ Stroud, and I love everything about that team. I don't know what it is, but something in my gut says like they're going to have a very good season.
He threw about 4 or 5 ducks out there. 3 of them were dropped. 1 was caught, and the guy's little toenail was on the white line. So I don't know. He looked like.
But tell me what there's not to like about CJ Stroud. Like tell me.
No. I just don't. I think he's going to throw more interceptions than he did last year. I think he has to come down a little bit. But no, I definitely think he's a good NFL quarterback.
I mean, he's only second year too. Like, just think about what he's done in his first 2 years. I mean, he's literally. Second year quarterback. You don't see it very often, a guy coming to the league that soon and like doing what he's doing right now.
I'm going to say it right now, and let's bookmark this one. He's getting MVP this year. I think so.
I don't know about that.
I love
the way
I loved the way that he had Tank Dell and Nico Collins going deep, and then when they were for the route running, for the separation, when they were on the goal line, bang, Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs had like 4 receptions, 4 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was just quick passes. He gets open, and then to get him down there, you got Nico Collins and Tank Dell, and then you had Joe Mixon.
Had huge
Mixon
game.
ran for 147 yards. Like, that team looked awesome. And I think CJ is going to have an MVP year.
One of the best offenses in the league this year for sure. I say that.
Okay.
Yep. All right, we've got a couple of minutes left. Looking forward to next week. Are there any games what games are we really excited about? Thursday is going to be an awesome game. I'm really pumped for that one. Dolphins and Bills.
Yeah, there's only a couple good. A lot of the teams a lot of games came back to earth. You got Bills, Dolphins. Dolphins have struggled to beat the Bills, so it's going to be interesting to see how that game goes. And then we have the big ones. We have Cincinnati at Kansas City. That's a big game. We're going to see if Cincinnati can compete with the Chiefs. Chiefs have had a long week off. And then you have Bears, Texans Sunday night. I'll be rooting for the Texans that time. So we'll see. Hopefully Caleb gets put in. And then we have the Monday nighter. We got Falcons at Eagles. So those are the 4 big ones that we're looking forward to this weekend.
Please,
Yeah,
Falcons put up more than 10 points.
The Eagles'
Please.
defense is terrible. It was terrible last year. It was terrible on Friday night. If the Falcons can't score points against the Eagles' defense, I don't care if he's got a bad Achilles or whatever else. They should be able to put up more than 10 points against the Eagles. Their defense has been atrocious.
Yep. I'm excited for those games too. Bengals Chiefs going to be a good one. And I do want to see how CJ and Caleb match up with each other. It's going to be a good one.
It's going to be a tale of two cities.
We'll see.
I don't think it's going to be even close to
We'll see.
those two, but we will see. And I am excited. Like I am hoping to see something a little bit more of like Cincinnati, like against the Chiefs. Like,
at least be competitive. We want to see them be competitive.
I was kind of high on them. Like when we were talking about teams last week, I do think Cincinnati like have a very talented team as well. So
yeah.
Quickly before we go, Chris, lock of the week. Who do you think's a sure thing to get the money this week?
Lock of the week? It's like Texans over the Bears.
Yeah.
Put your
with
house
the start?
on it. With the spread. Yeah, -6 at home? Come on,
right.
man. They should win that by at least 2 touchdowns.
Derek?
I have the Ravens at -9 over the Raiders.
-9.
Yep.
That's a big spread.
Hey, got to have a big spread and make good money.
I like it. I'm going to go with the Eagles over the Falcons. What's the spread on that one?
Oh no, it's Eagles -6.5.
Oh, that's a lot. Are they at home?
So basically a touchdown.
I'm going to go with it.
I like that one. I do like that one too.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us this week. It's been a good one, and we'll be back next week to recap everything and enjoy the week. Peace.
Awesome. All right. See you next time. Peace.